Hello and welcome to the VFM Podcast. Today I am connecting with Diego, a VFM colleague based in Spain. Diego, welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Adam. Thank you for your invitation. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, our topic today is called Rethinking Business Through Customer Journeys. So can you tell us a little bit about that, Diego?
Yeah, sure. Well, very commonly, companies review their processes, but they do it from their internal perspective. So they focus on cutting costs, making processes lean, so removing the waste. And I think that's completely fine. That's the right thing to do. But many times we forget about the customer experience and the perspective of the customer. And this is why we are trying to put into value this new way of looking to the business, but not from our perspective, but from the customer perspective.
Okay, could you maybe give an example of that just to bring it sort of more to life?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Adam. So imagine a machinery dealership. They have a customer with a major breakdown which completely stops his operations. They ring us to solve the problem, and then we can see how service and parts move into action in order to do their best to repair the machine. But normally what tends to happen, they work independently in different silos, and they trying to do their best. They might do it from the internal perspective in a very effective way, but from the customer perspective, there might be things missing. The customer at that point might be very worried about all his operations stop. He might have some financial struggle because when the operation stop, probably you might fall into some revenue incomes issues that will damage your cash flow forecast. And then if we would take a look into the customer journey and how he's feeling along, then we could review some of these interactions to deliver a better experience for the customer.
Okay, so what we're doing there is rather than looking at, let's say, an issue from our perspective and how we deal with it internally, we're kind of taking a step back and saying, well, how does this look to the customer? And we're taking a specific example on that to look at. Is that how we do it? We're always with a specific kind of scenario in mind, or is it more broad than that?
Yeah, it might get a little bit broader. Now reimagine the same situation. Some of the questions that we might ask yourself, could we avoid that from happening? Probably, although we have tried to do our best when the problem was there, the question could be, what if we could avoid that problem from happening through technology, for example, connecting to the machine and diagnosing the machine continuously in order to identify earlier the problem before the operation stops? That would be a great to have. Or if we could have a substitution machine, yes, if we cannot avoid that from happening, sometimes problems happen, but could we resume customer operation faster by delivering sales, for example, stepping into it, not to sell anything, but to offer a substitution machine or a rental machine? So, and this is the kind of things where we start creating empathy with the customer and the problem and the situation by getting a deeper knowledge of the customer business. Yeah? And then is where we reimagine the way we do business and the kind of services, and this is when we improve also our innovation.
Okay, so
yes.
if I could summarize, then it's so instead of sort of my key aims being sort of what I might see as my internal organizational aims, my aim is actually to deliver the best customer experience or sort of the smoothest path for my customer. So in the example there, it's my customer's machine has broken down. My aim is actually to make this big problem for my customer actually seem not an issue at all. I smooth out. So it's looking at everything really. My kind of internal metrics become almost actually how does the customer feel about this? How can I make the experience best for the customer? Is that correct?
That's correct. And I love the word you use when you use feelings, because there is a lot into it when it comes into feelings. Reducing uncertainty, for example, of the customer by providing timely information or even information in advance of what is going to happen, what will be the process, how you can schedule the reparation in order to allow them to reschedule their business, reducing the impact of that problem, or even providing this financial support to reduce the cash flow issue that he might fall into because of this machine breakdown. So probably the next thing to think about is, okay, but how we can get there? What would be the methodology? So what we suggest to our customer is to put together a multidisciplinary team to work around one of these processes or situations. So they picture out the customer journey, which is nothing else but from the customer perspective, identify what would be the process to solve that problem and what would be the different interactions with our business, and then rethink and reimagine how we can chain or tailor those interactions for a better experience to the customer, with the continuity of the customer's business in mind all the time. We will start reshaping the way we do business with the customer.
Yeah. Okay. So, you sort of mentioned it's like sort of one critical journey there, or one scenario.
Correct.
I can see it working for, like you say, where there's sort of a regular issue, with, for example, a machine breaking down. If my business is something quite different, and maybe I can see, well, customers have lots of different problems. Is there still a way, can I still have this approach? Or is it really for something where businesses where there's sort of, it tends to be a similar problems happening? Or can it work for a much broader one?
Absolutely. You can use for any kind of interaction with our customers, but customer might be even be understood with a wider sense, because there might be also internal customers where there are internal processes and we understand we are providing support to a different department. We can also picture this journey. It will be it might be an employee journey. The whole employee journey, how we move talent, how we manage talent within our company, and that's still a valid approach. Actually, the idea is we see that from the customer perspective, whoever the customer is, and then we identify the different interactions that are relevant and add value, and then we go through this lean process by making the process lean, the journey lean, smooth, and removing the waste, and then remove all these features that are not adding value or the customer is not willing to pay for. And when we identify that, but from the customer perspective, we will be able to have different core benefits out of this approach. One of them will be that instead of working in silos in different departments, which is very common, we will start working in multidisciplinary team, align a common challenge, which is the customer journey, and making it a great experience. So we will align the whole company towards the customer value. The other thing, when we need to decide where we are going to use our resources in order to invest into innovation and new products or services, the customer journey will give all of us a very clear picture of where we can prioritize our investment depending on how much value they add through the customer journey. Does it make sense to you, Adam?
Yes, it does. Yeah. So we're sort of having our whole business strategy in a way refocused back on improving things for the customer, really. Is that correct? Sort of when we're talking about innovation, instead of thinking, well, this would be nice for us because we think it'd be good, hold on a second. does this give any benefit to the customer? And it's almost a sort of a complete, like, just looking at something from a completely different angle. Is that correct?
Yeah, and we understand waste, not from the cost perspective, but from the value perspective, the value for the customer. Anything that is not adding value to the customer can be removed. So we, at the same time, we will improve our profitability because we won't be delivering something that is not valuable for the customer. So, and then we will impact profitability from that, reducing those inefficiencies because we are working towards something that is not adding value to the customer. And on the other hand, we will boost customer experience, so we will have more repeated sales, and we will also be able to have a very clear value propositions to attract new customer or to keep existing one or to increase the business with the existing customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's probably, or those are some of the major benefits that we can have from shifting that approach. And this is how we, in our workshops, try to help our customers by organizing this kind of workshop where they get to understand. We also invite sometimes the customer in order to provide insights to the different departments. We create a workshop where we have different departments working together with the customer to reimagine how we can do business together.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It certainly does, Diego. I think that that sounds really good, actually. And I was going to ask you, so if what my next steps would be, but in fact, you said it's like you could do it just very simply, like, I'll try and put myself in the customer's head and take 10 minutes to imagine myself as, I don't know, a customer X or customer Y. But actually, you said, doing it properly with the workshops and having it sort of everyone getting together and really investing in that and actually inviting the customer in. And instead of saying, this is what I think, Mr. Bloggs would like, I think I ask him himself, what do you actually want from me? I think that's...
Sometimes it's as simple as that. Yeah, you are right. Sometimes make the right question to your customer. They will tell you, they will give you a lot of information. That's correct, Alan.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Diego. Thank you for being with us. I think that was very interesting insight you delivered there into doing sort of almost looking at business in an entirely different way. And I think it's probably what was quite interesting to me. You said not just for your customer, but actually for your internal customers or your employees, looking at it from their perspective rather than sort of, obviously my employees want this, and this. Like, well, maybe I should ask them what they want before I tell them. So thank you very much, Diego.
Thank you for inviting me, and congratulations for this great initiative with the VFM Podcast. I really enjoy them. Yeah, thank you very much.